Outfielder number 5, Scott Cousin.
Hey guys, Zach Calhoun here, pitchtocheese.com. How you doing today? I'm happy y'all are here and happy you're checking out this video. Today we're going to break down some mechanics and give some tips for control and velocity. And today we're going to look at a good friend of mine, Derek Blacksher. In this video is actually an all-star game, and he's facing a hitter named Scott Cousins. Now I'm going to show this video in real time, and I'm going to repeat it and allow you to kind of look through it yourself, pause it, press play, pause it, press play on your own. But first, I just want you to watch it and kind of hear some of my feedback and hopefully take away some nuggets and some tips for your own pitching mechanics. So first, I want you to pay attention to how Derek Blacksher sets up when he's coming set in the stretch. Notice how his front foot is actually not lined up with his back foot. It's a little bit in front of it. What that does is it forces him to stay closed. You'll notice that Derek, as a professional, has a very good rhythm, and he understands his leg lift and where his eyes are going to see the target. When he lifts his leg, he's actually coming backwards some and has a really good balance point. This is very important for all pitchers to know exactly where your knee is going to land and feel very comfortable and powerful at the top of your knee lift. Now, because Derek's explosive, if you watch this video in real time, it's hard to see the small things that he's doing right. So I want you to pause some of these videos as you kind of walk through his mechanics. As Derek extends forward, his front foot is closed, and his foot stride is slightly in front of his body the whole time. You can see that he has an aggressive front foot. His eyes are looking over his left shoulder, so that means that he's definitely staying closed as long as possible. This allows Derek to be very aggressive towards the glove, but still have a lot of power because he knows he's going to be staying closed throughout his motion. Also, if you pay attention, when his front foot lands, his back foot is just then about to explode. And you can see once he has full extension with his front side, his back foot doesn't just turn, it kind of pops off the rubber. This is because he has a lot of torque and force built up on his back foot. That's a very good thing to think about as a pitcher who's struggling to have some velocity or gain some velocity. Typically, you've already released your back foot and you're not maintaining your power source. In most cases, especially with young pitchers, they're trying to get power from their front side rather than their back side. What does that mean? Well, what I mean is this. If you understand physics and you really think about it, the rubber is your best source of power. The ground will not move. The earth is very powerful, right? And if you lift off that back, if you lift off your back foot too early, you lose your power source. If you watch Derek here, as he's extended, his back foot is still loaded against the rubber as long as possible. Then, when it's time to really unleash all his power through his legs and his hips and his core, his back foot pops and explodes off the rubber. This happens naturally because if you check it out at his front foot strike, his hips are all the way open, but his shoulders are all the way closed. Good pitchers and mature pitchers understand that that's where their power source comes from. They want to stay closed as long as possible with their shoulders, but use their legs to open up and create that torquing and whipping action. The reason I like this angle of behind the catcher seeing the front of Derek is that you can see linearly what he's doing. Sometimes if you have a viewpoint, if you have a pitching mechanics viewpoint from the side, you think about all those rotational things too much. What you need to think about is moving linearly. When do you rotate? How do you rotate? And then a lot of things happen naturally. Pitchers that think linearly when they're moving forward towards the mound, like how they stay closed and keeping their foot closed as long as possible, they're opening the last second, keeping their shoulders closed as long as possible. Those are the guys who have the most control. So what do I mean? Everyone is trying to throw the baseball hard. We all want to throw the baseball as hard as we can, as fast as we can, and mess up the timing of a hitter. But here's the thing. There's a threshold between trying to throw the baseball too hard and you lose that control. Basically, what actually is happening is you get too excited and impatient with your body and your rhythm gets off and your desire to throw the ball hard creates a impatience in your shoulders and you rotate too early and you're out front too quick, it actually makes you throw less accurate because you open up too quickly, and you probably throw slower because you pull your back foot off the ground too early as well. So all these things, the rhythm and your mechanics is actually more of just a flow of timing of your mechanics and a flow of getting the right order of how things are supposed to unleash and unravel on the mound. That's why there's that old saying, he reared back and chunked one as hard as he could. That saying is actually just what your body naturally wants to do when it wants to throw harder, is it wants to stay closed a little bit longer, rear back in a sense, I say that in quotations, and then cut it loose off your backside. This is just an example of what every pitcher goes through. They all want to throw the baseball hard, but they know if they try too hard, it doesn't work. So you, and you're practicing in your mechanics training, need to work on being able to keep that back foot on the rubber as long as possible, and then be explosive later on in your motion. You can throw the baseball and be as explosive as you want to be, as long as you keep your shoulders closed and as long as you're not flying open too early. If you are very close out in the front of your motion, it's impossible to fly open too far too early, because all your timing is going to work out perfect. If you're very linear in your motion, if your foot is not flying you open too much, if your shoulders not, if you have good flexibility in your hips and in your core, you see all these things with Derek's motion. Now, obviously, he's very polished and he's worked very hard on it and done a really good job over a long period of time. He also has a lot of leg strength, a lot of core strength. You can see his core, how explosive it is, and you can see how flexible he is. He knows how to train. He knows that everything he's been doing, with work on the side, with either med balls or his training in the weight room, he knows his training has got him where he's supposed to be. So now he can just attack the hitter. And of course, if you watch this video, he goes 1, 2, 3 punch out Scott Cousins. All his training, all his mechanics work makes him confident. He doesn't have to worry about where the ball goes. It's going to be close, and it's going to be good, and he's going to trust his training and trust his mechanics. It's all that hard work that translates into the mental game of pitching. But you need to know where your mechanics are at, where the source of your power is, and you need to work on the right drills based on your unique skill set and needs. Every pitcher is a little bit unique and has a little bit different mechanics. The same is true for Derek here. The way he raises his glove and his arm action is unique to him. I like the short whipping arm action in the backside, and I like his glove action. But if you don't get his legs and hips and shoulders right before that, it doesn't matter how his arm action is. Most of the time, your arm responds to when it's supposed to explode. So rather, focus first on where your power source is, and then you will see your arm action get shorter and be more whipping in the right appropriate ways. So I'd encourage you to go back through this video, pause and press play and kind of check out certain points that are important in the motion, but don't get wrapped up in breaking down the slow motion movement of your mechanics. You're not going to be the same as Derek. You're not going to be the same as some other guy in the pros. You're going to be you. But every one of those athletes understands how to translate power from the rubber in the right order into the baseball. And that has to be your goal.